Good evening, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to another lovely evening of Jaybird watching. I am Craig Borden, your host this week, with my typical gang of Adam Corsair, Brendan Panikar. Fellas, how are we doing today? Sweeps! You got your brooms ready?
Crazy. Crazy. Was not expecting that, that's for sure.
So when was the last time the Blue Jays were able to sweep an interleague play match would be, or a series, I guess, would be for the whole season, because that was actually legit. We are not going to play the Braves again this season. Took all 6 games.
Never?
I don't think we've ever done it. I really don't. If anybody that's listening that wants to prove us wrong, please get us going on the Twitter sphere here and whatnot, and enlighten the Jaybird watching community on when the Blue Jays might have actually done that.
Right. Yeah. As I'm just thinking, like, even back before they did the realignment with Houston still in the National League, and you only had, remember how it was only you play National League opponents in June for that stretch, where it was all National League. You're only playing 3-game series. Now you're most often playing either 2-2 or 3-3, like they just did with the Braves. So yeah, I have no idea. I can't even think of a 3-game sweep over a National League team they've done any time recently. So yeah, that'd be a good trivia question.
There you go. I mean, I'm already rocking the trivia just like we did during COVID, you know. So, Blue Jays fans, get us out there on that one and see what you got, because, like I said, that would be a nice one for trivia on that one. But on that note, obviously, we just were riding the high of a sweep against the Atlanta Braves, but we did have another series this week that we're going to jump into first, and we're going to talk Houston Astros versus the Blue Jays that picked up last Friday after our last recording, and it started off on a weird note, guys, as far as, you know, things go. The Blue Jays, you know, got unfortunately rocked 10-4 in that first game, and it was definitely not their best showing. Ross Stripling, who we're going to talk about, funny enough, here in a minute again, night and day compared to today. So does anybody want to talk this first game through, where the Blue Jays were out hit 15-6 and lost 10-4 and just what went wrong in that game?
Yeah, I'll take it. It was just it wasn't the night, you know. I think the aspect of, I don't know, I just think the Blue Jays are a funny team, and with their offense sort of in flux, even though they are performing well and they are actually exceeding expectations without Springer in the lineup and whatnot, you're sort of white knuckling your chair every game and kind of hoping that everything works out, and sometimes
I'm okay,
sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, but you know, and this is just one of those nights that it didn't. But at the same time, I'm not displeased with how they've been playing, right? There are moments here and there that I'm thinking to myself, and even in that game, sure. But overall, I mean, it just wasn't their night. I don't chalk it up to anything dire or consequential. It's baseball, man.
Yeah, in that game, though, we did get a final pulse from a certain catcher that we put on blast last week. Apparently, he heard us, would be the catch. So Danny Jansen picks up that was his second home run of the season. But it started a nice little trend for him through the weekend. And, fellas, he ended up going throughout the rest of this series, gets 1 home run there, gets 1 the next night, and then finally finishes Sunday off with now 4 home runs on the season. So, pretty enlightening. What do you think? Do you think we're actually going to see Danny Jansen showing up at the plate, or is this just a blip?
I hope so.
You hope that's a blip?
I hope that it's somewhat consistent, or maybe a taking off point for him, or a launching pad, or whatever you want to say. You know what? That home run, I think it was Friday. I don't think that goes out in any other stadium, but if you're Danny Jansen,
something had to give.
Take it any way you can get it if you're Danny Jansen at this point. So that's fine. It's still a home run on his stats for the year. At the end of the year, like, yep, I hit one into the Crawford boxes into like the first or second row. That's fine. If
just to say, that's probably still a home run in Buffalo.
Yeah, maybe it's possible. But yeah, it's. I hope that it's the start of something for him, because what they've gotten from the catcher spot thus far has not been good enough for a team that has aspirations of making the playoffs. And what everybody knows is cut back down to 5 teams this year. It's not the 8 that it was last year. So it's going to be much, much more difficult. And other teams are on the rise in the American League right now too. So it's going to get crowded as the season goes along. So any offensive contributions you can get from the catcher spot are welcome at this point. And you know what? If Danny Jansen can hopefully get on a run, go for it, because I think we were all at our breaking point with him, and maybe he can make us all eat crow.
There you go. Well, we can only eat crow as much as everybody else because we were propping him up pretty much until this past Thursday. Just saying. But anyway, the one thing I do want to point out from that first game, because this was an ungood trend that started on Friday with the Blue Jays bullpen eating a ton of innings, and it actually looked like we finally were seeing some of the workload catch up with the Toronto Blue Jays bullpen. We watched Tim Mesa come out and give up 2 earned runs. Ty Tice came out and did 2 runs, and this is in that same mantra that Montoyo has been preaching with the Blue Jays: just get me 4 outs, just give me 4 outs out of the bullpen. They exactly got 4 outs, but they also gave up 2 earned runs. And then eventually Rafael Delis is no longer kind of in the question anymore because of this game. And another person that we're going to talk about here in a minute, Ryan Brucky, I think this is the last game he pitched. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So he's having some shoulder issues too that, aren't going to land on the IL. just like I haven't had 3 concussions myself. Sorry, I went Chris Farley there for a second. But anyway, was this trend was showing in some of the stuff that we're going to stress later in the show is the importance of some certain 2 individuals in our starting rotation. But guys, I think that was what exposed the Blue Jays for that series against the Astros, because there were so many, bumps for that bullpen to really get by, and there was just too many for them to really sustain the offense and eat up innings.
Yeah. Yeah. I look, overall, I'm satisfied with the bullpen and how they've been performing as a whole. But again, this is just one of those games where they couldn't find their footing, and they didn't perform up to par. The injury concerns that you alluded to, Craig, with Delis and Brucky are concerning for sure, especially because Brucky up until that point was incredibly reliable. I remember it was a couple episodes ago that I was saying he's a dark horse for one of the most important people on this team out of the bullpen. He had his role solidified. It wasn't, a high leverage type role. And those are really hard to come by, especially now that you have to sort of reshuffle that bullpen around. Hopefully everything's okay, and legitimately, hopefully he doesn't end up on the IL at all. But you run through that many relievers and you have that many concerns. A result like this, getting, out hit 15-6 is bound to happen.
Yeah, especially after Stripling only makes it 3 2/3. It's just unfortunate. That's kind of how it's going to work, unfortunately. But let's move on to the actual good game from the weekend. The Blue Jays were able to take the Saturday game 8-4, and ironically, they score 8 runs on just 5 hits. I still think that is the most crazy thing for the whole thing, especially we're a team that we correctly bludgeon usually people with our offense and our wins, and to see them just go home run through the lineup once again. Danny Jansen had his second home run on the weekend. We got Kevin Biggio in on, and Marcus Semien, who has been on in an absolute tear, just continues to destroy pitching. And it was good to see this win, even if it was in a little bit of odd fashion, boys. Brendan, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Any win in Houston is perfect, especially considering how good they've been to start the season. And as of right now, if you look at the standings, they are very much a direct competitor for the wild card. So picking up any wins over them is going to be huge as the season moves along. Honestly, all I expected going into the series was 1 win, and that's what they got. So I'm happy with that, considering how poorly Friday started with Ross Stripling doing what Stripling does, except for today and his only other start against Atlanta when he pitched pretty well. So I'm totally fine with how the series played out, and Saturday was nice to get that win on the board. It did give me hope that they would go into Sunday and have a chance to steal it, and I know that that's probably Sunday's game. We're probably going to spend the majority of our time talking about one individual in particular, but with that individual who's going to start or did start on Sunday, it had me optimistic that maybe they could squeak out a series win because it was a very good game on Saturday. I think one of the most encouraging things outside of the offense was Matz looks like he's figuring it out again a little bit. I know he still only pitched 5 innings. I think he got 4 runs or whatever, but still, I'll still take that from Steven Matz, the guy who will be your 3 or your 4 starter when guys get healthier as the season goes along. Again, I said this last week, Matz didn't do himself any favors with being as dominant as he was so early in the year. I mean, I'll take it. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but just the expectations. Every start out, I think we're a little sky high for a guy who probably wasn't going to pitch to an under 3 ERA. And now he's regressing back to where he is, and what he's done or what he started to do against Houston last week, I'm fine with that if he does that again tomorrow, because I think he's on track to start tomorrow. So,
yeah. So on that note, I think that what we just saw from Steven Matz over the weekend against the Astros, anyways, that was a typical Steven Matz start. You hope for 5 or 6 innings and him to pitch well enough to keep you in the ball game, and you just kind of hope that the offense is going to get you that 4 or 5 runs. And in this case, like I said, they got 5 hits and got 8 runs. Perfect. Sold. Not chalk it up, boy. So, but that one thing I do want to point out too is we were just talking about the bullpen on this one too. Jordan Romano had coming back from injury. That game was the last rough outing we've seen since. He's been dominant since that point. Yeah, he had a few hits and whatnot the other night, and it just kind of like extended the outing. Yeah. But I didn't lose confidence during that. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, but also in that game, Tyler Chatwood, guys, has he just been completely on cruise control, or is it just me?
He's been unreal. He's been absolutely unreal. And I've really been talking up David Phelps this year. And I always mention Tyler Chatwood's name whenever I bring up Phelps, but I know he's been injured the last few weeks, but Chatwood has surpassed him like crazy. Every single time Chatwood comes in, I'm not expecting him to give up any runs. Heck, I'm not even expecting him to walk anybody anymore, which is the craziest thing. He's just attacking the zone. They had Mike Petriello on from StatCast and MLB.com yesterday on Blue Jay Central, and the cutter that Tyler Chatwood has, throwing that so much more than he ever has in the past, and it's working out. It's been a killer pitch for him. And you know what? He's kind of reminding me of the way Steve Delabar pitched in 2013. Just a guy who
raised the bar.
Incredibly. Yeah, exactly. And if Chatwood keeps this up, that's an all-star berth for him, and really rightly deserved. I'm not. Again, he's been unreal. Am I expecting him to continue doing this? Maybe, but maybe not. But you never know. He could be an all-star. The way he's trending right now, he's been probably from start to finish their best reliever this year. And there's a lot of candidates for that, which is awesome. Even some of the depth guys like Castro and Piamps have been good too. But Chatwood's been unreal. There's no other way of saying it.
Yeah, knock on desk that he doesn't have that downfall like you were talking about. And the one thing I think that he's got going for him in his all-star candidacy, he doesn't need Minoru Kawasaki to be his cheerleader. He can just go right into it.
Yeah. That entire game, Blue Jays gave up 0 walks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And with the people that we threw out there on the mound, that's very impressive. People that are notoriously known for walking people. And I think that's what Maps has to do to be right. I really do. And I really just hope he can continue to do that. The one thing I did notice, that one inning where he did give up the runs, you could see he got heated again. We were talking about that last week. The emotions were high, and he lost control of the ball a little bit. And next thing you know, sorry, there's 3 runs on the board. So, but hey, hopefully he kept it in check the rest of the game. And thankfully the umpire wasn't, pouring gasoline on that fire like he was the other game.
Yes. Yeah.
So, anyway, let's talk Sunday. We were all super, super hyped up and ready for this game, guys, especially after the start that Nate Pearson had in Buffalo, where he struck out 7 or 8, I think, in 3 2/3. So it was very encouraging to know that he didn't give up any walks in that. And we're like, okay, that should translate to it enough to a point. And boys, I don't know if it was just me or what, but it just looked like he was... how should I put this? Either not confident or just over complicating himself to the point where he was trying to just be, nope, I'm going to put it here. No, just get out there, rear back and fire, boy. Don't worry about doing anything else. But didn't look right to me. Who wants to pick up and run off with the Nate Pearson start here before we talk about the rest of that game?
Yeah, I'll go. I have a lot to say about this.
Here, just so everybody's clear, this is where the Adam Corsair rant part of the show.
All right. Not that I'm saying that we shouldn't believe in Nate Pearson. Not that I'm saying that he's cooked, he's done, trade him. I'm not suggesting any of that. But since maybe Stroman, give me someone that the Blue Jays have developed as a starting pitcher successfully.
Successfully? I was going to say Aaron Sanchez for 1 season.
I mean, even that had its back and forths, right? Bullpen, starting rotate. It wasn't solidified. Look, maybe Alec is the guy, Like maybe he's going to be the one to break the mold, but I'm not seeing it. Like I am not confident in this organization's ability to develop young pitching. It hasn't happened. It's in a starting rotation role. They've been successful when it comes out of the bullpen. They've proven that. And again, maybe they're only asking for 5 innings, so maybe it's less of a priority. But without a solid rotation and without developmental talent within that rotation, within the organization to grow into the rotation, I just don't see it. And Nate Pearson is sort of a byproduct of that. I don't agree at all with setting him back down despite this poor performance, because he's just going to go back to AAA and dominate, and he's not learning anything. The best person that he could be with right now is Pete Walker. Pete Walker is the guy that he needs to be around to sort of, pinpoint inaccuracies, pinpoint problems in his delivery, whatnot. I don't know. I'm
Next
not
step.
part of.
That's what he needs.
He needs to fail at a big league level in order to succeed in the big leagues. And I just completely disagree with setting him down. I don't see how this is going to be beneficial at all. And moreover, it makes you wonder, when you have someone as highly touted as Nate Pearson and how he's been, hyped up within the organization as a prospect, and especially amongst the fan base, because we love our prospects here. Notice who has stayed up and been put into starting rotation role more than once without really being sent down because of consequence, other than Nate Pearson, and that's Anthony Kay. Anthony Kay has been given many more opportunities than Nate Pearson, and this is not an indictment on Anthony Kay. Bobby, I hope if you're listening, this is no diss to your brother whatsoever. He's earned his keep. But the organization clearly doesn't think that Nate Pearson has earned enough as Anthony Kay. And that should tell you something about how they are feeling about Nate Pearson.
Brendan, you want to pick it up before I dive in on development and horribleness with him?
Yeah. I just don't understand where these command issues are coming from, because he was never known as a guy who had problems finding the plate in the minors throughout his entire career. And so I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if, like what you're saying, Craig, it's like he's trying to guide the ball in to be in the lower part of the zone, because it's just mind-boggling. I was thinking of this right before we started recording, because I knew we were going to talk about Nate Pearson, and I saw a few people mention his name. The way it's starting with those command issues, just with all the talent, and it's not just Blue Jays fans hyping him up, it's all of baseball hyping him up. So it's not like it's not Blue Jays fans being way too hyped up for our own, which we tend to do as Blue Jays fans, which make it difficult to get rid of prospects and not players when we trade them. But Chris Carpenter had the exact same control issues when he came up. Roy Halladay had the exact same control issues when he came up. The difference with those two guys is they still had control issues when they were down in the minors, as far as I know and understand. Carpenter was before I became a Blue Jays fan. I'm just going off of what I've read.
You're completely accurate with that statement. He was one of those people that looked like he couldn't find water if he fell out of a boat for a little bit in some of those starts, and all of a sudden you'd see like the glimpse of what it would be. Same thing with Halladay until they, stopped throwing him over the top. But in all reality, those two careers parallel each other so accurately. The one big difference was that Carpenter went down a level.
Right.
Halladay went all the way
one
down.
single. Yeah.
So I guess the difference now is Pearson never had those command issues in the minors, and he never has. And Adam, you're probably right. He's probably going to go back and make his next start and look really, really good. And then people are going to be like, shit, like, why didn't we just keep him up to try to work through it? I agree with you. Maybe not as strongly, but I agree. I think it was very silly of them to send him right back down. Because like, where else is he going to work on it? He's going to go back down and he's just going to make people look foolish. I know we're going to talk about him later in the show, so I don't want to dive into it too much, but it's getting to the point with Alek Manoah where it's like, what else are you going to learn at AAA? Like, if you're just making everybody look foolish, like he's done so far, and like Nate Pearson has done so far in his career, work through your struggles at the big league level. I think Blue Jays fans are too scared that we've ruined pitching prospects or even position player prospects in the past from keeping them up too long or sending them back down and bringing them back up and just doing that yo-yo thing, to the point, just give them some consistency, work through it. And maybe his second start would have gone better. I would have given it, like, at that point, it's like, why even call him up for Sunday start if you had a feeling he was not going to pitch so well? You're going to send him right back down. Why didn't you just give it to K at that point? He was ready.
Exactly.
So they ended up doing the following week anyway.
Right, and he's going to start on Saturday, Anthony K, at this point, or tomorrow, whichever day is his turn. So I just don't understand why you do that. And K's had his struggles so far this year. They're letting him work through it. I know he's not as highly touted, but man, Pearson is supposed to be your guy moving forward. It's supposed to be the anchor of this rotation. Let him work through it, because we've seen the glimpses, as you said, with Chris Carpenter. Craig, there's been glimpses of Pearson in the past, even last year in 2020 before he got hurt and when he came back. He has all the stuff. I just don't know what it is. These controllers seem to come out of nowhere when it's at the big league level. I don't understand.
Well, also, if you remember, I mean, you just talked about two separate pitchers, right, within the Blue Jays organization at one time, being Carpenter and Roy Halladay, and I feel like those are anomalies, right? Those are anomalies of highly touted prospects at the time that were sent back down to work on mechanical issues that ended up being successful, albeit one of which not in the Blue Jays organization.
Yeah.
But when it comes to players like Ricky Romero, there was a bunch of yo-yoing and there was a bunch of tweaking with his mechanics until at one point in Buffalo, he was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do what I want to do. Right. And it ruined him. Right. He didn't even find success in San Francisco. It just ruined him. Same thing with Aaron Sanchez. Ruined him. Think about what they did with
landed
Stroman.
in San Francisco, too, ironically.
Yeah. Think about what they did with Stroman. Nothing. They did nothing with Stroman. He came up and that was it. You're here. You're up. And sure, an ACL injury derailed him, but he still came back and obviously had to go through the system in order to get his legs underneath him, no pun intended. But there was no sent up and down, despite attitude issues. There was no sending up and down. He remained a big league starter, and he's still finding success today. Right. And so that's what you sort of just got to let them work through it. There are going to be bad outings. Fuck, they gave 10 a row arc. How many bad outings before they DFA'd him? Like, you can't do this with Nate Pearson. Why? Because he's fragile. I hate this. I hate the fragility aspect of, we got to protect our prospects because we don't want them to be, lacking confidence. No, this is how you learn. This is how you learn how to succeed in the big league level. You get knocked down, you pick your ass back up, and you pitch a gem next time. And he's just going to go to AAA, and you guys are right. He's going to fucking rake on the mound. He's just going to strike people out. He's like, I'm ready. And he's just going to go up. It's going to be the same result. You got to keep him in the big leagues. I swear if they do this with Manoah, I'm going to be pissed. Once he gets called up, he has to stay up.
Yeah. And that's going to be so fascinating to see how they handle Manoah, just because he's been so dominant at AAA at this point. He's like, from the looks of things, he's ready. And I think there is a little bit of hesitancy in my mind with Manoah, just in terms of, I don't want them to send him right back down if he struggles. I want to make sure that they do it right. Apparently Atkins was there last night. We've kind of transitioned this topic already, but anyways, the only thing I'll say on the developing guys, remember, Romero was a chronic knee injury. Like, that was going to happen. It was going to end his career anyways, the way it was going with him. There wasn't, and the mechanic change was because he was trying to compensate for his knee issues. That was out of their control. Sanchez at the beginning was definitely in their control. In 2015, with all the command issues and sending him back to the bullpen, which thank goodness they did, because he was really damn good in the bullpen in the playoffs in 2015. And then 2016 he was fine, and then the blister issues came along, and he never ever got over the blister issues for whatever reason. But your original question, Adam, on the development of pitchers since Atkins and Chaparro have taken over, but even before then, I cannot think of the last, other than Stroman, the last sustained Blue Jays pitcher that they've brought up to have sustained success for like more than 2 or 3 years. Like, I think Sean Markham, but they traded him immediately to Milwaukee for Brett Laurie. Romero had 2 good years before his knee fell off. There's nobody else. There really isn't. So there is some skepticism.
It's sad when they're getting into that list where it's like Josh Towers.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Towers actually had 1 really good year in 2005, but yeah.
Honestly, I think where you're going to end up, and if you end up digging deep into that homegrown pitching talent, you're going to end up running into Brett Cecil and Casey Jansen before you run into a lot of people.
Ooh, and with the chops.
McGowan.
McGowan. I loved McGowan, and unfortunately his injuries caught up with him as well. But people forget that was the rotation one year, and that was a solid rotation. We actually did really, really well with those 4 guys right behind Roy Halladay for one season.
Yeah.
So, and then
And
all
they
of a
all-
sudden we peppered in AJ Burnett and
And they
Miguel
all had
Bautista.
injury problems. That's the thing. It's always been injuries to derail them. Markham tore his ACL and had to, or not his ACL. He had to get Tommy John. McGowan just never recovered. Jesse.
Yeah, and
Litch
he had the
was something.
diabetic issues too that were keeping his blood
Yeah.
sugars all over the damn place. He couldn't
Exactly.
rehab
And-
properly.
Jesse Litch, same thing, arm
Yeah.
issues. And
Love
Litch had
Jesse
one really
Litch.
good year. Gustavo Chassin, injury problems after what he was almost rookie of the year
Yeah.
in 2005. Chassin. So they've been able to get a year or two out of guys before it just completely derails, other than Stroman.
Either way,
Other
you're
than
going back to
Stroman,
the
yeah.
Angry Bird era just to, wrap up your point, Brendan.
Yeah,
So I was trying to find out when Pearson's pitching next, but they haven't announced the Bisons.
Should be
guys.
tomorrow
It's got to be tomorrow or Saturday.
or Saturday. Actually, it'd be Saturday if you pitch Sunday.
Yeah. So anyway, to that point, putting a bow on it, the Blue Jays had a rough weekend last week in Houston, and luckily, come this week, guys. Apparently, the weekday Blue Jays played better than the weekend Blue Jays. Just saying. So, not only did we sweep the Atlanta Braves, we completely took them to school in some really close games that we actually came back in every one of these games for victories and just completely demoralized the Atlanta Braves to the point where they had to be thinking, oh my God, here they come again, each one of those times. Especially today. We'll get to that, but once again, Ronald Acuna Jr. is a crazy baseball player. I honestly hope for the Braves' sake that the little thing that happened with him at the end of the game today,
Yeah.
he, for those who didn't watch the game, Ronald Acuna Jr. was running to first base in the ninth inning.
Yeah, I think it was this.
I think it was the
I think
eighth.
it was the 8th. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was running to first base, and instead of planting on the base while he was trying to run through it to be safe, he kind of came up just a little bit short. So if this was the base, his toe kind of landed here, and he dragged it over, and it didn't look very good at all. He collapsed like 2-3 steps after hopping around after that. And I honestly, like I said, I really hope for the best for him, but I really think that he's not going to be playing for a good amount of time from watching that injury. I'm hoping because he's young and flexible, he's going to be okay. But outside of Ronald Acuna, the Blue Jays were able to keep the rest of the Braves lineup, who is a very threatening and imposing lineup, pretty much in check the whole weekend, boys. And let's just talk, was it Tuesday was the first game, right?
Yep.
The Blue Jays come back to win 5-3 in a game that ended up being, funny enough, the first save of the season for Jordan Romano, Trent Thornton's first win of the season.
Yep.
And I forget who even started. Oh, Robbie Ray. Stupid me. Another impressive 10 strikeout
10.
performance from Robbie Ray. So, which one of you two would like to run with that idea here about talking this game first?
Go ahead, Brendan. You love Robbie Ray. No, go ahead.
Okay.
No, Chris.
I was not-
Chris
I
loves.
was I was not expecting the 10 strikeouts after the way he started, because what was it, like a 23 or 24 pitch first inning for Robbie Ray?
Yeah, including
but-
a third inning home run by Raul Acuna, who I just mentioned.
Exactly. So he bounced back after that first inning quite remarkably and got his pitch count back in line and was able to go 6 innings. This is who I think we should expect to see moving forward, just with the changes he's made to his delivery, the changes to his approach, and using his fastball and really making sure that's established. It's worked wonders for him. I don't know what happened in that start against Kansas City that made things so wonky for him, but ever since then he's been unreal. He kept them in the game, and they slowly chipped away, and then eventually took the lead, and they won the game. And that's all you can ask for from your starting pitcher, especially one who's right now currently your number 2, your second best behind Hyun-Jin Ryu, is doing his job. And if not for that 25-24 pitch first inning, he probably would have gone into the 7th. And
he did throw 99 pitches too. So regardless, he is actually on level with what pitches should be this point in the season.
Exactly. So he's ready to go. He's reliable. I think we can all say that pretty confidently now. And the way he's going, I'm feeling pretty good about the top 2. It's just they got to get the last 3 sorted, except for some ups and downs from Steven Matz, which I think you can expect.
But in the 3 spot, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
We'll write it off. If you can ride Ryu and Ray, we're looking good. And that's a nice little mix. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Robbie Ray being the strikeout guy, following somebody that's clearly more of a finesse, I'm going to fool you guy with Ryu. That's a nice little mix there. Even though they're both left-handed, you're getting something completely different each day when you come to the ballpark with those two. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that was the good sight to see with Robbie Ray running out there. And outside of the, like you said, he had a little bit of a rocky first inning, but he did get out of it. And the other parts of that, where he gave up those 2 home runs, those were really the only 2 really bad pitches he threw the whole game, and still was able to, run through 6 innings and unfortunately didn't got no decision out of it. But Blue Jays come back and win one, and I forget who. Oh, that was the game that Vlad went off, had like 3 RBIs, right?
Yep. Homer that night.
Yep. And I think that over the weekend, boys, I don't know if we noticed that, but Teoscar Hernandez is starting to heat up.
Oh,
which makes this freaking lineup even that much more scary, because you already had Semyon, who I think after today has a 12 or 13 game hitting streak. Yeah, he's got the baker's dozen or a dozen. And then you got Vlad doing Vlad things, Bo's picking up too. This top 4 of the lineup, and then, I forgot Randall Grichuk in the lineup at 5 basically now too. It's getting impressive, and that's still without arguably our biggest bat in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one thing that stood out to me the most, not just in this game, but within this series, is how comfortable, I know we've talked about it before, but how comfortable Vladdy looks at first. He looks like he's been playing there for years.
Did you see the highlight at the end of the game today with what he was doing with Robbie Ray, or not Robbie Ray, with Jordan Romano on the mound?
Yeah, the imitating his windup. Yeah, hilarious.
Jordan Romano's sitting there doing his thing and doing the crouch and everything, and they have a camera angle that's on Twitter that I tweeted out right before the show that's looking over Romano's shoulder. And you see Vladdy literally copying every little rock down to the duck.
Oh, yeah. The squat, everything.
And Vladdy doing Vladdy things, which is strangely okay by me.
That is indicative of him having fun. And that is indicative of him being comfortable and confident in his abilities. And throughout the series, he's portrayed that, especially I think it was game 2, that he had a nice snag line drive sort of over his head. He just nailed it.
He had a couple good picks at first base during that second game too, well, including one that was I don't think without him doing that stretch, I don't think that gets him out of the inning.
No, dude, look, there's a lot of confidence in this kid, and this is just look, I'm not trying to weight shame, but it's a miracle what losing 42 pounds can do for you.
I need to worry about that myself. This dad body's killing me.
You, me both. He has proven it, and I admire the defensive abilities of a player that we had serious concerns with in terms of footwork and lateral agility. At third base, the transition to first has been as seamless as possible, and it's translating both on the field on defense and at the plate. He is confident, and it's just a joy to watch. And couple that with Robbie Ray. Look, yeah, it was a little rough, but still the 10 strikeouts, you'll take that all day.
Oh yeah.
That's him working out of a lot of trouble with the little bit that he had, and being able to have that rear back and fire kind of thing with him. It's insane.
I think it's also the fact that he had Reese catching for him.
He did have Reese both games, actually. One.
It's a little uncomfortable. It's a little different, but again, he's just put it down and I'll throw it kind of guy, sort of like Burley. What would this team be doing without Robbie Ray? Where would we be?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be in playoff conversation. We wouldn't be a game out of first place under the Red Sox right now. So
we wouldn't have 20 wins. I guarantee you that.
No, we would absolutely.
It might be more on the opposite of that. Like we might have like the coupling of our win and loss record all in the one column, and not in the good one.
But that was one of those games. The first and the third game of this season. I know we'll get to that in a minute, but those were just so fun to watch because it was such back and forth the whole time. Those are the kind of baseball games that I love seeing. Today's especially. Well, I'll wait on that.
Let's talk about the game that before you get too excited about. I know Brendan over here is just foaming out the mouth at talk Robbie Ray, I'm sure. And my friend Jason Lee was having some really good times watching him and having some really fun video. I don't know if you guys saw any of those, but he was having a good time showing the wicked hooks that he was doing in that game. But very impressive to see Robbie Ray true to form. Brendan, what do you think seeing him the other night?
I already answered that.
Yeah.
Fine.
Are you talking about Ryu?
I mean, sorry, I meant Ryu.
Oh, I was gonna.
There's too many R's in this conveation now.
Yeah.
They're both lefty. Just one throws gas and one throws finesse. It's just anyway.
So
Game
confused,
2.
Man. Yes. No. Now that it's Hunjin Ryu, it's
makes more sense
awesome.
with the Lee comment, right?
Yeah. I was like, well, I thought I talked about.
Where's
that
he going
already.
with this one? Live show, everybody.
Yeah. But no, doing what an ace should do: pitch 7 innings and keep you in the ballgame. Only give up 1 run, and the only blemish was a solo shot yesterday. He's back to the guy who he was before he injured his butt. I know he had that 5-inning start and he got hit around a little bit. His first start back against Oakland, but he picked it right back up, and it seems like hopefully the glute issue is behind him. We're so fortunate that wasn't more major than it was. I know when he came out of that Tampa game with that injury, I'm like, oh shit, like this is the last guy that they can afford to have miss like 4, 5, 6, 7 starts in a row. Luckily, it's only 1. And even the start that he came back and wasn't vintage Ryu, they still ended up winning the game against Oakland. So they're 2-0 since he's come back. His importance to this team is probably equal to Vlad right now, if not maybe a little bit more, given the fact that the bullpen can have a day off, essentially, when Ryu pitches. And he's doing what Roy Halladay did. I have not felt this, other than 2 months of David Price, and we've said this before. Other than 2 months of David Price, I've never felt so confident in a Blue Jays pitcher every 5 days to go out there and win a game and go into the 7th inning, or even just a few outs into the 7th if it's not a full 7. He's a stopper. He puts losing streaks to bed, and he hopefully starts a winning streak, and he continued it today or yesterday and into today. So Ryu's he's unreal. There's nothing else to say about him.
Yeah, and more or less the MVP outside of that. If Ryu doesn't have the performance that he has, everybody's talking Teoscar Hernandez, and he gets swept under the rug a little bit with watching the ace of Hyunjin Ryu just run away with this game. But 2 home runs for him and 3 RBIs in a 4-run game. It's the same thing as Vladdy did the night before. He just put the team on his back and said, "Hey guys, we're running with it tonight. Don't worry about this. I got it." And it's very encouraging, and I think that we'll talk about like what our takeaways for the whatnot in the week are here in a sec here. But I think the biggest takeaway we have over the last week was the fact that they had this pass the baton mentality throughout the whole team, whether it's in the bullpen, the starting rotation, throughout the bench, and into the lineup, whatever it is. The Blue Jays have been able to find a way to get something to contribute every night, and I think that is the biggest thing of this team. And I actually think that the marketing department hit it out of the ballpark a little bit here with the blue grit idea with the Blue Jays here. They really need to start hashtagging the shit out of that. How has that not happened? We had the come together thing, and then we're gonna run with this nonsense that we've had. They actually finally got another slogan like that. That's right, and they're not even doing anything with it. So, but how encouraging is it to see that with you guys with Teoscar and all this and running with this, with the offense finally really clicking, and it's not just one person running with it like it was earlier in the season.
Yeah, it's certainly good to have that sort of backup. And even though he's an everyday player, being off with COVID at the time, having him come back in, and I think it was Brendan, you were sort of concerned with how he would adapt coming back because there have been some players and athletes that have been unfavorable in that aspect. But when it comes to Teoscar, it's like he never missed a beat. I want to say his first game back from COVID, he hit a home run.
You're right with that.
Yeah. So he's been on a tear, and having him sort of anchor this outfield right now, even though Graychuk has been decent, if not pretty good, it's encouraging to have that sort of power.
The one he hit the other day, it looked like he hit it off the end of the bat, and it just kept screaming right to center field. It's one of those things that you're encouraged by in that aspect. I know I sort of shit all over the pitching development, and even though he wasn't really developed completely within our system, he did have some time in AAA with us after the trade. They certainly saw something with him, and he's unleashing it. And if he can do this consistently, he's going to turn a lot of heads, and this is indicative of how the Blue Jays are good at scouting other teams' prospects. That the other team we can't build them ourselves, but we can bring them in.
We can take them. We can take them young and look like it's an overpay, and it's actually an underpay later. Thank you, Liriano. But I think with him, you're getting exactly what you need, especially in that 4 spot in the lineup. It's exactly what you need. He's providing you the offense, and hopefully this can carry over. Again, I'm not looking, I don't expect this type of consistency all the way through, but if on average he can hit, like, was he hitting right now almost 300 at this point?
304 actually.
Oh, he's hit over 300.
That's because of today. I'm looking at today's box score. He went 2 for 4 again today.
There you go. Yeah.
With another RBI, and did he hit a home? No, he had the. It was a really nice bloop single that he had that drove in a run while we were still trailing. So, anyway, should we talk today's game? Seeing apparently I'm just going to interrupt you and force segue points.
No, let's do it.
So the Blue Jays today were able to eventually do an 8-4 victory, but they were trailing pretty much this entire game, and that was mostly due to the fact that Ronald Acuna led off the game with a home run and really put Ross Stripling right on his toes, right out of the gate in this game. So unfortunately, I think that's what we're going to get from Ross Stripling. The fact that he was able to bounce back and have any semblance of innings pitched in this game, boys, I think that's just a test to the character that he was, even after giving up those 2 big runs right in the first inning, he was able to turn around and actually pitch 5 innings. Thought that was kind of, like I said, gritty.
Yeah. Give him credit. Dude had 9 strikeouts, right? And I probably, like you, I watched the game, listened to the game from the beginning. First pitch of the entire game to the Atlanta Braves, rather. Home run. And I'm like, here we fucking go.
And it was like not like subtle fashion either. It was just typical Robert Acuna. Oh, boom.
Yeah, dude. They came out aggressive in this game. They were stealing. They were running aggressive. They were pissed to play. And you got to give Stripling credit to sort of dial it back and just rub that one off and say, all right, let's go. And he had 9 Ks. If you're getting 9 strikeouts from Stripling, I'm taking that. Despite the innings, despite the leadoff home run, I am taking that. 5 innings pitched, fine. Giving up 4 hits, fine. But 9 Ks. He looked good in this game. Not great, but he looked good. And if that is the type of production, maybe every once in a while, because this isn't sustainable, let's be honest, but every once in a while that he's going to give you, I will take that and run with it. And I just love how, you have hitters like Ray and Ryu that can hit the ball when in a National League park, and they might try. Nah, he just Stripling, I don't care. They just had the bat on his shoulder, and when I think he had a bunt out, but he just jogged gingerly right up the line, and it was just like, I'm not risking an injury. I know what I have to do for my team today. I fucking love it. Today's game was, I think, the best game of the series. It was back and forth. It was fun, and getting that type of production out of Ross Stripling, I'll take that all day.
I think the more encouraging thing out of that whole thing is this is a team that knows him. He's faced the Atlanta Braves a ton in his career, being a Dodger up until the last, season. So the fact that he was able to even go through them at all to the tune of 10 strikeouts is insane. I can't believe it. It's literally like it's just eye-popping here on these box scores. It's just like bam, there it is.
Yeah.
So,
and only that 1 home run. That's it.
Right. Yeah, I didn't get to see any of it, so I'm not speaking from anything. I'm just listening and taking in what I've read. But I'll make this comparison to Stripling. I tweeted this last Friday when he was pitching against Houston. Just all the deep counts. He's not terrible. You can see some good pop through every few starts or every once in a while. He's a very typical 5th starter. He'll go out there and at his best, he can give you 5 decent innings, and maybe sometimes he'll get you into the 6th inning. But usually it's a lot of deep counts because he doesn't have a put-away pitch. He reminds me so much of J-Hap from the first tenure with the Blue Jays.
Okay.
Yeah, J-Hap.
Line drive to the face, J-Hap.
Yeah.
Or as we were named in my household, was J-Hapless at the time.
Yes. The 2013 J-Hap that would go out and always throw 5 innings. Always go to 3-2 counts and 2-2 counts, and maybe have some high strikeout games. I remember Hap getting 7, 8, 9 strikeout games over 5 innings. Like, man, if this guy could just go a little bit deeper into the game, he'd be really good. And that back then, Hap was nothing more than a 5th starter. And if you got that from him, you'd be fine and happy. And we're getting that from time to time with Stripling. So it just sucks the importance of Ross Stripling right now because of the inconsistency after the top 2 guys. Matt's obviously.
Did we lose him?
I think so.
Or is he just doing like the millennial thing and just
No, I think we lost him.
Okay. Anyway, Brendan will be back in a minute, I'm sure. But as far as that goes, Adam, it was very encouraging to see. And I think the best thing about this whole thing is outside of Tim Mays, the bullpen continued to do the bullpen thing.
Oh, he's back.
There he is.
What? I could hear you guys the entire time. I didn't go anywhere.
No,
you're full on locked up. We thought you were fucking with us. Yep.
Maybe I'll do that one time just to see what you guys
in
think.
mid sentence, just kind of like lock up and do, like in those meetings. It's like, oh, okay.
Before the internet rudely cut me off, I was done my point. So that's
Okay.
Yeah, it was playing the music for him. We didn't have to tell him to shut up or anything. It was all nope. The internet's like nope, you're done. So, but offensively, like I said, we were actually trailing this game entirely, and the Blue Jays were pretty much in that like we're just clawing to stay in this. We're gonna if we keep going, we'll keep going, grind it out, keep at bats going, and some good things will happen. Eventually it did, and like we were saying, there's some bloop singles, a good key hit from Bichette gets them back in scoring and ties the ball game up. I was honestly not expecting the Blue Jays to be able to get to the Will Smith ballpark here and really tune him up. And that is where this game completely blew open, and the Blue Jays ran away and stole the series. And I'm going to literally say stole, because in all reality, we weren't winning any of these games to start. And to be able to just put pour some sauce on it here at the end of the game, or end of the series too. That's a beautiful thing, boys. Running away with this after being down at one point by 2 runs, 4-2, I think was the way it was mostly. Yeah. But just chip away. It is what it is. And I think that's the team we get to look forward to seeing every night, is they're going to just make sure they grind out everything.
Yeah. I thought today's performance was very good. And, look, we talk about, a lot of the negatives when it comes to the players that aren't performing well. Reese McGuire notwithstanding, and I thought I want to take the opportunity to give him some credit, because it's not just Stripling pitching that ball game. McGuire called a good game, and there was a point in this game where they were just cruising. They were locked in with the chemistry, and he's not a producer at the plate, even though he did have a single in the game. He's okay, and I really want Alejandro Kirk to come back, but that notwithstanding, I'll take that sort of outing out of Reese McGuire every now and then if it means having that chemistry with the pitcher. The offense is completely secondary to that. But
if he didn't get on base, he's not there for Bichette to drive in. Just
exactly.
saying.
Yep. Bichette is the guy that you're relying on, and he's proving it. Biggio, although he's my man crush Monday, I'm not buying it quite yet. I need to see a little bit more consistency. I saw that home run. I think it was
above the Mendoza line. Just saying.
Yeah, I saw that home run in Houston. Paid homage to your dad there, but you're still having that uppercut swing, and you got lucky on that one. I need to see a little bit more consistency, and if that starts from today, I think he had 2 hits today. Good, but I need to see more. So overall, I'm very, very, very pleased with today's performance from this team. And if they, Craig, you hit it, if they can have those sort of grinded out performances, and this is without their best player, right?
Yeah.
And a few other ones too. The role players are not really, like we're still the where are they now category of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Just saying. Oh, he's in the lineup? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's not doing anything. But with all these injuries, right, and they're 4 games above 500 right now. It's very impressive, and they could be a half game back if the Yankees lose. No, they'd still be a game, right? No, a half game. If the Yankees lose tonight against the Rays, they're playing. Yep. They could be a half game out of the leader of the division,
which is really realistic. They're playing the Rays.
Yep. And so look, I think today was the 10-day deadline for when Springer could return. Obviously, we knew it would be longer than the 10 days. Give him as much time as you need. And as soon as he's hitting a groove and this team is clicking on all cylinders, we might have something special. I'm not gonna say it.
I think during our spring training show we hit the nail on the head. This team's gonna mash.
Yeah.
I hope we can pitch just enough.
The fact that they're 4 games above 500, they've played really, really good baseball the last few weeks. The Oakland series coming back from 2 games down to tie at 2-2, sweeping the Braves. For the season series, 6-0 against the Braves, and going into a Phillies series that should be competitive, and hopefully, actually, they played very well against the Phillies last year. So there's a chance for the Blue Jays to finish May a few games above 500. They're 4 now, got a couple weeks left, but just keep on chipping away, get a win here, win there, keep winning series. I know Buck Martinez says it at least once a series or once every few weeks. It's like, as long as you win series, you will be in the playoffs because you're winning more often than you're losing.
And just to put that out there, he stole that from Cito Gaston.
Yeah. Just win series. And if you mix in a couple sweeps, then you're golden, and you can get on a little bit of a win streak, which hopefully they continue into Philly.
So basically, if you want to put this in perspective too, a team that was expected to get to the playoffs without any issue, the Atlanta Braves, we are more or less the exact reason why they are a sub 500 baseball team right now at 17 and 20.
Yes.
So you can literally quantify our wins against the Braves to a third of their losses.
Man, diehard Braves fans better. I bet they're all thrilled that they don't have to play the Blue Jays anymore. It's like they beat us every single game.
And how?
Team.
They came back and won every time.
Yeah.
So, because you can even say that about the first series against the Braves. Didn't we come back and beat them 2 out of the 3 games in the first series?
Saturday game, they definitely came back and beat. And
then another one was a whomping.
Yep. Yeah, the Friday was a whopping. Saturday was the game Springer hit us 2 home runs, so they came back in that one. And I can't remember the Sunday. I think they won Sunday decently and took a lead and held on. But anyways, all games against the Braves have been fantastic.
And just for the record, the Rays are winning at the moment too. Just saying.
Oh, good. More to that point. Look, and I think I just counted. So 28. Assuming that July is still on the table to go back to Toronto, as we discussed last week when it comes to the schedule, because that's the only sort of games after which don't have the in Buffalo, in Dunedin.
Yep.
28 games that the Blue Jays are playing are going to be in minor league ballparks. 28 of their next games are going to be in minor league ballparks. And if they come back to full health with George Springer and they perform up to par, you could be seeing double-digit games in terms of their run production.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Because of that pass the baton mentality. You would think, let's say like a third of the lineup's even hitting when we got it full strength, right? Right now we're scoring how many runs with basically a third of the lineup? Just
6,
saying.
average of 5, 7. Yeah.
So I think we were talking about this before the season started. I think you can, on a normal night for this team, you can expect 4 to 5 runs easy, and with our pitching, that should be good enough. Period. And I think that's exactly what we've been seeing so far this season, and we're only hoping that it's going to get better on both fronts. So
that's
is.
The difference right now between the 2015 Blue Jays and the 2021 Blue Jays is the fact that on paper the 2015 offense was just one of the best I've ever seen, and maybe this team on paper offensively just doesn't have the star power quite yet with the names. They're scoring a lot, maybe not as much, but it's the pitching right now that is bringing the 2021 Blue Jays up ahead of the 2015 Blue Jays for me, because the 2015 rotation before David Price and Marco Estrada coming into the rotation was just non-existent outside.
Oh, you mean having Daniel Norris?
Yeah, it wasn't anything. It was Drew Hutchison.
We would have been better out there trucking his van out on the mound.
Yeah. And the bullpen back then wasn't that good either in 2015. It was okay, but it wasn't one that you could ride home and be like, okay, we have a 2-run lead in the 6th inning. We could probably protect this. This year's team, if they have a 1-run or 2-run lead in the 6th or 7th inning, I'm like, they're probably going to win. And that's a really, really good feeling.
Well, like the starting rotation, the bullpen have ended up finding itself eventually in 2015 as well. They had to find the candidates to actually fill the bullpen before they could actually run with it. Where we actually, this is the same cast of characters we've seen since the beginning of the season. Unfortunately, we've seen a few of the big names drop off and come in and out and whatnot. But either way, it's been the biggest strength, I think, of this team so far, just to keep them in ball games, because the offense is doing what we were kind of expecting. But on that note, let's talk possible reinforcement candidate. We've been talking about this bullpen, or the pitching rotation, and some of the flaws and issues that we've been talking to up to this point. There is somebody making a hell of a ton of noise for the Buffalo Bisons, and his name is Alek Manoah. And this hype had already started in spring training, and it's only getting more gaudy by the start. Is really what it's coming down to. I think he's going to end up forcing the Blue Jays' hands. So I guess the question is maybe not so much if it will happen anymore this season with the options that we have going into the starting rotation. But when do you guys see this happening in the near term, short term, All-Star break or September or what. He had 10 strikeouts in his AAA debut. And he did pretty damn good the other night with 7, I believe. So I think he's got 17
total
yeah.
right now. Yep.
Didn't he take a no into the 5th?
Something like that.
He was just cruising.
His ERA is 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is, and I think he's only given up like 4 or 5 hits in those 2 starts too. And there was no walks in his first start. I don't know. I didn't look at the box score the other day other than seeing the 7 strikeouts all over Twitter the other night and everybody screaming already, give me Alec. So, like I said, I think even, I don't know who wrote the article, but I did see it blatantly plastered all over BlueJays.com today that it's more or less, it's like, when is this going to happen? So, what do you guys think as far as a possible realistic ETA for something like this? And I know, yes, we're dealing with all sorts of kind of shuffling in our rotation right now too. That is going to probably play into this more than anything. But we were talking about the developmental bullshit that is Nate Pearson earlier in the show. Now has this become a 2-horse race for this other spot that might be available in our rotation with Alek Manoah coming into this conversation?
All right, so who's coming out? Like, let's assume for the sake of argument that he has a realistic chance to join the rotation next homestand. Who's coming out?
It would really depend on
There's really no 5th starter right now.
Yeah.
I know Kay's kind of doing it, but I wouldn't consider him the starter.
Okay.
So I think there's an open spot.
Right, but don't we need 2? Like, if we're under the assumption, and I think this is where we landed with Nate Pearson, that he has to come back and sort of work through the issues, we need 2 spots.
Yeah.
Right, and I think Nate Pearson is the priority right now over Manoah.
Yeah.
I think like he has more of a clear path to joining the starting rotation sooner than Manoah, despite Manoah pitching amazing. So let's assume then we need 2 spots. Who's coming out? So we have that 5th starter that Kay has been sort of filling in. We'll give that to Pearson, who has been pitching awful enough to justify no longer being in the rotation so Manoah can fill that spot.
Until today, Ross Stripling.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so you have to ride this now.
Yeah.
With Stripling.
For a little while. Or with how banged up the bullpen is, and you know that arms are going to start to come back down to their career norms and whatnot, and if starters aren't going deep into games and whatnot, Stripling would make a nice little bullpen arm and be a guy who can give you 2 or 3 innings. And I think that's perfect. Once around the order for Ross Stripling, I think he could do amazing in that role.
Looks very similar to his like post-second inning today.
Yeah.
You know, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Brendan. And I think that's where you end up going, because then not only do you have him, you got maybe Kay still lingering around that bullpen, but you got somebody that if Pearson or Manoah don't end up eating innings off the bat, right? It becomes kind of like a double opener kind of thing going on, right?
Yeah. Someone that can log you innings. Yeah, so I think that's what we're going to have to do, because it's not going to be Mats, it's not going to be Ray, and it's not going to be Ryu, right? So those are the guys that are set 1, 2, 3 in no particular order, rather, in that rotation. So we're relying on a shitty Ross Stripling start. That is literally what we're
I really think that's going to make them pull the ripcord, I think, because right now they're very, very happy with their standings and what they've been getting out of this point. But we've talked about it extensively. This bullpen cannot eat innings like this. They have to find somebody outside of those 3 guys to get into the damn 6th inning. And you can't put all that weight on, Ryu, Ray, and I'm going to throw Mats into that equation, even though he's only got 2 starts out of his 6. I think that we're in the 6 innings. So you can't put that weight on them, and I think that they're going to have to hope for a wild card like this, because you guys know how it is. They're going to have to play shuffle for this kind of thing until the trade deadline comes along. Otherwise, it ain't going to happen. So because they're going to hope to get one of these guys that finally step up into that role, whether it's Kay, Stripling, Manoah, Pearson, whatever the other option is, Hatch, who is apparently, I guess he threw off the mound the other day, they were saying. So apparently maybe he's actually progressing back into the norm. So you're hoping for one of those 5 guys to really solidify that 4th spot. And I think they're hoping that one of those people take that spot, and then they can turn around the trade line and get that guy that pushes them over the top. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But
that's what you got to bank on.
You got to bridge to the gap to that point. And right now, it's throw the guy that might be the hot hand in there. And right now, there isn't a hand that might be hotter than Alek Manoah.
You feel comfortable doing that only after 2 games, though? Like,
No.
I feel like this is rushed.
I think this is 2-3 weeks down the line. And then we can start talking about this. I'm not talking bring him up for his next start. If I'm bringing anybody up for the next start, I'm hoping that Nate Pearson has a good start this weekend. Yes. And then I maybe give him the start he probably should have just had for the Blue Jays this weekend.
The only reason Manoah's in conversation right now is because there's essentially 2 holes in this rotation.
Right.
Obviously, if there wasn't, there wouldn't be as much a sense of urgency. But because of those 2 holes, there's more urgency to fill them right now. And that's why Manoah is very much top of mind for people. And I think people just need something to look forward to because Pearson isn't giving them that right now.
Well, that and there's this whole fun conversation here that everybody has been hype on the Alek Manoah train, right? Everybody is not realizing the SWR-ness that's going on in New Hampshire, and I don't think he's going to be in New Hampshire very damn long either, because he's been very impressive in his first 2 starts for the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, too.
They're not too far off in terms of when they start. I'm pretty sure SWR is like the day after Manoah, so my guess is...
I think he's starting tonight.
Yeah, close enough where they can juggle it around a little bit so that if Manoah gets called up in 3 more starts, 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks... SWR is getting the call up to Buffalo to fill his spot in the rotation. Yeah. I think that's a given at this point. And that should have people excited.
Yeah, I would take
just saying.
Bluntly answer. Yeah, to bluntly answer the question, I think we're gonna see Manoah before the trade deadline.
I do too.
But I don't. Maybe June.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe by Canada Day if they're gonna push it. I don't think service time manipulation is a thing here. I really don't. I think
win games
are over that. Yeah, they're trying
to
win games. So the latest, I would say Canada Day.
Yeah, I really don't think that they can not pull it before that. I really think that honestly, it wouldn't shock me if these ends up pitching that series mid-June that I'm hoping to be able to get tickets to in Buffalo.
Oh, you'll get tickets, dude.
Yeah. Well, they pushed the damn date. I was supposed to be buying tickets today, but apparently the reason they pushed the ticket buying back a week was the fact that they think they're going to have more New York State legislation this coming week to lift more of the sanctions and stuff on how many people could attend it. Because when they were announcing the ticket sales last week, they were saying 35% of the Salem Field.
Right.
There apparently the chances are with what they're trying to do in New York City, it will be 100% to people that are vaccinated.
Right.
That's what the current New York State stuff is. If you can prove that you have both your vaccinations, boom, baseball tickets.
Yeah, there's they have a vax section.
Right now, that's how it is.
Yeah.
The 35%, and then they have a whole section that will be full. I think it's on each of the foul pole areas that they're going to be, quote unquote, the vax zone.
But yeah, I would say by Canada Day the latest, and you're probably right, Craig. If it's that mid-June season, probably. I
would just love to see him come up and just blow the Yankees away, but that's besides me. Just really bury them in that ballpark that they completely despise, and then just demoralize them further by watching Alek Manoah mow through them. Yep. Can't tell I live in New York, can you? So, anyway, boys, is there anything else you want to wrap up here before we do picks to click and chit chat on that front here?
Not that I can think of.
I'm good.
Okay. So, last week on our picks to click, Mr. Brendan Panikar had Teoscar Hernandez, who if you are paying attention and keeping score at home, we've talked about him a lot during this show already this week.
Feeling good about that.
Mr. Corsair felt like riding my coattails with Randall Grichuk, who, due to fan voting, got me a win from last week. So, honestly, he had a decent week, lots of RBIs, but he didn't have the gaudy home run stuff that he did. But once again, you've had good picks, but you aren't taking it to that next level. And then I had one good start from Hyunjin Ryu, his best of the season, thank God. And then last week we had a plethora of fan votes that came in for who could be whatnot, but more or less it comes down to we had Ray again from Chris Keys. So I think it's a 3-horse race here between Teo, Ryu, and Robbie Ray for last week. What do you guys think?
I don't.
Oh, I forgot. Chris changed his pick. He did Bo Bichette.
To Bo, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Bo had a clutch hit. I'm gonna. It's obviously no offense to Chris. I don't think Boa did enough all week to justify the win. That 10 strikeout performance is really attractive.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not taking anything away from Ryu.
But on that
10
fact now,
strikers.
nobody's got Robbie Ray on the last week's pick now because of this whole.
Oh,
I forgot
okay,
that
so there
Bo
you
Bichette was really Chris's
true,
pick.
true.
So
Yeah.
it comes down to
Teo or Ryu.
Teo or
See,
Ryu, and I would as much as I would love to say Ryu, Teoscar was something phenomenal this week,
Yeah,
and
I'm
really
going with that.
carried the team just as much as Vladdy did in a couple of games. You were inserting the two of them as the main offensive contenders in each game, alternating all week. So I think we're gonna have to give Brendan Panikar, or at least that's my vote.
I'm going
pick
with Teo.
week.
I mean, I'll give myself a vote. I was just
Wait, hold on, I got this back.
that's where it gets tough with pitchers in this, and that was my strategy all last year and even the year prior. Is you get one good start out of a pitcher, even if you have an offensive guy that you've chosen or going up against, and they had a decent week, not like a phenomenal week, the pitcher's going to get it. Like
Correct.
if I didn't pick Teoscar, and let's say I picked Lourdes, who didn't have a good week, and it was between Grichuk and Ryu. Grichuk had himself a good week, but not enough to overtake that start from Ryu.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is Teoscar's performance this past week did way more for them than the one Ryu start, I guess.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Just for the other funness, and for those, like I said, keeping score at home, Wes from the Jays Jam podcast submitted Danny Jansen as his bold pick. For 3 days, that looked really, really damn good.
Yeah, it did.
But
Yep.
he is barely batting 100 again.
Yeah.
Back down to 105 after today's pinch hit. Oh, sorry, I'm saying back up to 105
Yes.
after today's
Yes.
pinch hit. And then we
Craig,
had
didn't you get the record right? Didn't you say 4-2?
I did, but I actually said backwards.
Right.
I said we
Yes.
were going to sweep the Astros, and then we were going to get one from the Braves.
That's okay though. You still got the record. You still got 4-2.
Yeah, but I'm not keeping. That's the tiebreaker. Remember, Brendan.
Oh,
that's
okay,
not.
true.
That's not. No points. Although apparently Richard Burfer gave Adam points for the beard on Twitter. Just saying. So, but
Small Boys Inc.
yeah, there you go. And then we also had from Coach Keith on Twitter last week a Nate Pearson bold prediction. I'm sorry to say, Coach Keith, but next week, hopefully, or next start, hopefully for Nate Pearson, we were going to get you back on that bold prediction. So this week, fellas, what do we got coming and brewing this week? I forget who we're playing. I meant to look it up while we were
We got the
talking.
Phillies.
Red Sox.
Red Sox. All right, so the Phillies have been very up and down over the last few weeks, and they've been actually, funny enough, riding Andrew McCutchen the last week, who is having a little bit of a resurgence in his career. Thank God. I've always loved Andrew McCutchen. And then we're hoping to topple the Red Sox, who are still somehow lingering in first place.
Fuck them all.
So, who do your picks to click, and what's your record for this week? Adam, you want to go first?
Yeah, I need a win.
And keep in mind that we're recording Wednesday during the game, so I don't know what we're going off of, just 4 complete results, or is a live update with one of your players going to count in there as well?
I think during that game, until the point where we get to the picks to click, everything is live.
Yeah, sure. Good with that.
Yeah,
That's
I
5
agree.
games.
I
That's
agree.
5 games, so that's cool.
Yep.
All right. So now that they're coming back to Dunedin, I mean, Philly is riding pretty hot. I'm gonna go 2 out of 3 against Philly, and fuck it. They're gonna sweep the Red Sox.
Oh, there it is. So
Yeah.
you're talking, is that a 4-1 week then? Or is
Yeah.
it 5? Yeah, okay. So there you go.
They go 2 and 3. Yeah, 4-1. Yeah.
Just checking. And you said who again? I'm sorry.
I didn't say anyone yet. 'cause
Yeah, as I say, I thought you
think
said
about it.
somebody.
Oh,
He's
God.
just
All
warming
right.
up.
I need a win. I need a win bad.
Call to the pen.
Give me Bo. Bo plays well in Dunedin. Give me Bo.
There you go. Honestly, that was you're stealing that pick from me, so maybe some of that, Rob, I'm gonna send it your way.
Yeah.
Just give you a little hair lock throw here. So
Yeah,
good
please.
deal. Mr. Panikar, give me your record and your pick to click for the week.
2 or 3 of the Phillies for sure. I just noticed, guys, I checked this afternoon, and Sunday was penciled in to be Zach Eflin. It's now changed to Chase Anderson on Sunday for the Phillies. Old friend Chase Anderson.
Oh, boy.
Other than Saturday when Aaron Nola's pitching, and Nola, for those who aren't familiar, is legitimate bona fide ace. Tomorrow's Vince Velasquez, so I'm feeling pretty good about 2 of those 3 games. Maybe they can squeak one out from Aaron Nola, but 2 there. Don't know the probables for Boston yet, but if we're just picking the first 2 games because we're recording live on Wednesday, then you know what? Just give me those 2. I'll go 4-1.
There you
Brandon,
go.
Take the sweep. Take the sweep.
He just wants to have him drinking your Kool-Aid, man.
Take the sweep, man. Come on.
No, I can't do that. Not
Come
yet.
on.
Good. I'm feeling good.
He's over here
For
all like,
series
come on.
win.
Come on.
Series win.
All right.
Series wins.
Fine.
Yeah. Okay, Cito. I mean, Buck.
Just
Yeah.
win series.
Yeah, just win series, man. That's all you gotta do. And my player, give me Simeon. He's been hot lately.
Gonna ride the hit streak.
Yep.
There you go. And once again, he's gonna steal my next pick. I'm just gonna keep going down the list, boys. So, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the 4-1 thing. Even though I think one of the best pitching for performances I've actually ever witnessed was pitched by Vincent Velasquez. I happened to be watching a game when Giancarlo Stanton was still on the Miami Marlins that last year where he won the MVP. He fanned him 3 times in that game and struck out 16. That was an insane start. That was the best start of anybody I've ever seen live. And I can't believe where the career of somebody that should look like Aaron Nola in my mind is completely derailed. So I think the Blue Jays offense is going to take advantage of the now non-Eflon start that Brendan alluded to, and the fact that Vincent Velasquez is not the guy I saw 3 years ago when I picked up my Philly Fanatic that's sitting over here on the shelf. So I'm thinking the 4-1 thing sounds right. I'm not even going to argue with it. I really can't even say I'm going to keep that just different for the sake of the tiebreakers. I think it's legit. I think they have a chance to really take it to the Red Sox this week, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. I really think that the Blue Jays offense is just too hot right now to not run through any pitching that they come up to. And worst case scenario, maybe guys, there's a sweep in there against the Phillies. You know, maybe this is the time they finally get to Aaron Nola. You never know. There's just a lot of hotness going on in that bat rack right now. And as far as the actual who I think is going to be running away with it this week, I'm going to ride Teoscar. I really think that he's going to be the one that runs with it this weekend. So we're going to go with that. And apparently we got our first submission already from Chris Key. He went Chatwood, nah. Romano, nah. Kind of has all question marks across the stuff. And then he's going to go with Robbie fucking Ray again.
Can't say again because he went with Bo.
Yeah. I'm saying again because now I guess he's going back to him.
I know. You left your boy. You're unfaithful, Chris.
That's a side bay. He's coming back to main bay.
Yeah,
you went to your side chick, and although that nice bloop single and all, but come on.
Per the usual, we will be giving out shout outs and other fun for Blue Jays fans that do submit their pick to click for the games that follow the show. And if you could get them in before Friday evening's game starts, I will take them all, and we will make sure we count those as picks for the week for the guest spot. Because once again, we got to do some better job, I guess, of scouting our own talent to join our terrible little barroom chat here and see what the heck happens. But anybody have anything to add before we do our normal sign off of 2 claps and a Ric Flair?
Yeah. Side note: Bills schedule, love it. So go Buffalo Bills.
Let's go Buffalo Blue Jays.
Yeah. Let's have a good series. That's all I got.
There you go.
So inspirational.
Hey.
Yeah. Vladdy Vicious, I'm feeling this week too. That's the other catch. I really was thinking him as my other pick.
Let's do it.
There it is. Ready, boys?
Let's go.
Woo!
Woo!
Let's go Blue Jays.
Who needs a beer?